If you're building an app solo, there is only one thing that will save you more time more than anything else: a real design system. Not just some random colors you picked randomly, a real connected system between your design and code. Today, I'm showing you how I built mine in Figma and how to get into your code base fast without doing work twice. First, building the actual design system in Figma: tokens, typography, and components. Second, getting that design system connected to your front-end code. So a design change doesn't mean hours of guessing on the dev side. Let's start in Figma. Quick reason why this matters before we jump in: if you design first and figure out your colors and spacing as you go, you end up with 15 slightly different blues and inconsistency. So log the system first, and every screen after that reuses the same building blocks. Hi guys, we are currently in Figma and I've just created our new design file. So first thing to understand is basically variables, which is going to represent our tokens that we're going to create. So basically variables are the values that are going to be reused everywhere in our design. To create a variable, just go ahead to variables here and you basically hit create, and Figma instantly will give you multiple choices to set what variable type you are going to create. So if my goal is to create a color variable or a color token, I just hit color. There is a new collection has been created. We can name it tokens, and this color we can name it, for example, blue 50. We go for blue and we set our value as blue 50. You can go here and go for plugins, and for example here I'll tell you in CSS what this plugin does exactly. You give it the color, for example, let's say, yeah, let's pick this blue. All right. And what it does exactly is it gives you the full shade values of that certain color. For example, when we set this color, it gave us the full palette of that exact color. So what we do exactly is we go for variables, and for blue 50, we will just copy this and we set this color. And to set a new variable, we just hit Shift Enter and it basically adds a new variable to the list. So here I'm gonna name it blue 100, and we are going to set this value, and we go on with this thing until we finish the full palette. This is just an example, just to showcase you how we do it exactly. We can create another collection and we name it, for example, spacing tokens. So basically here we are going to use or create new variables for spacing. So basically spacing are the parts of padding and gaps. So here, for example, when we hit create, we are going to use the numbers. The number I'm gonna say, let's say for example, we wanna name it small spacing. We will give it the value of, let's say, 4. And to use this, let's say for example, I have a mobile app that I'm currently building. There is 2 elements. Let's say there is 2 rectangles, and these 2 rectangles are currently grouped. I want to use my consistent values tokens that I've created. I just go ahead to the group and go for gap, apply variables, and we see our small variable and we just use it. So here you see the 4 value is being applied. So there is another thing, guys, which is scope of the variable, which is basically you can customize like where the variables exactly are going to be shown. For example, our 4 variable, which is a small variable we just created, we basically can show it only for gap and padding, which is basically the same scope, I guess. Here, for example, if I go for corner radius, I can see it also, but I don't like this. I can go for variables here, like I select the variable I need, I go for this menu, I hit scope, and I see a lot of check options. Well, basically I check all, and I hit, for example, I want this variable to only be shown for gap, so I set the gap to be checked. And if I go back to the file, I can still see it in padding, which is basically the same thing for gap and padding. But here in corner radius, you see I can't apply any variable. But if I go right here, if I create a new variable and I call it, let's say I want to put it inside a group, and I name it radius and small, and it created a new variable called small inside this group. So we can set its value to 4, and we can set the scope for it, not gap, but we can set it as corner radius. So if I go right here and I go for, let's say, this rectangle, and I want to go for corner radius, I can find my small, which is having the value 6, that I've just created. It's simple as that. And guys, so this is basically an example of tokens and how a design system is going to be. For example, you can set your primary fonts and secondary fonts naming inside variables that then you can create inside your styling and all of that. So this is the Figma site in short. Tokens first, components built from these tokens, and you have screens built from these components. Each layer depends on the layer below it. Now here is the part that most tutorials skip it. Alright, so this is the part of Claude and how we can extract all of the design system in one time from our Figma. So basically first we make sure we are on dev mode. We go to our design system page. We copy the link to the page. I've been setting the wrong link here. So, and this one should be working. So let's see what he can find. So it basically now says that he found the typography and the color styles. Let's see our results in the end and what he is going to extract exactly. All right, now our guy is basically done. So he created colors, typography, and tokens. And so as you can see, guys, I set the Sonnet 5 and basically I set it to medium because there is no need for much of effort for him to do, because this is basically an easy task for AI to do. All right, so let's see our result and what he did exactly. So first of all, he created tokens. So this is he created a JavaScript file. Well, myself, I basically create a CSS file. But anyway, I don't have any problem with that. Let's see. Yeah, I think he set everything correctly. For example, these font sizes, these are correct. The primary fonts families, the fonts families, like you see here, and he's using all of our values I see in our font styles. Yeah, and for the colors, okay, I see here some hard-coded colors, but I don't see any issue with that. Maybe I have something wrong in Figma, because sometimes this thing happens. But anyway, and he is using our tokens. So yeah, this is basically, guys, everything. This is a short tutorial on how you can do this exactly. So if you want something much more deeper and much more longer than this, just drop me a comment, and if I see there is a lot of people wanting this kind of video, I will just create it and maybe starting an education series. Anyway, so I leave you with the rest of the video. If you're building with AI tools like me, using Claude or Codex, this matters even more. When your design system already exists in your code base and you ask AI to change something, it's not gonna start guessing or rebuilding something new. If it's only about styling, it's going to start changing these tokens that you've already built in the design system. Means this is less work for AI, and this will lead to less cost for you and way more results of consistency inside your app. One honest thing though, even with all these steps, AI sometimes still mess it up. Even with powerful models, you ask for a small change and it will quietly ignore your tokens. Just create an instruction files, a simple markdown file, and lay out your entire design system inside it. Every token, every rule, exactly everything how it should be referenced. Then whenever you're prompting for a change, point AI to that exactly file. And here is the other part. Whenever I make changes in Figma file, new variables, new components, updated styles, I keep that same instructions file updated too. So next time I go for a Claude with a change, it already knows what to do, because this file is already synced with what Figma already changed. If you want to know exactly what's inside the markdown file, just drop a comment and I'll share it with you. And here is the bonus you might not expect. This actually saves you real money too, not just time. When your instructions are this clear, you don't need to reach for the most expensive, heaviest models every single time. Something like Claude Sonnet 5 can handle these tasks easily, because with well-defined and real instructions, these tasks become an easy thing for AI. And honestly, that's the bigger win for you as a developer. You stop fighting AI on some tasks that should be repetitive, and you really save some money. So that's real workflow, having tokens, variables, building components, and having all of that converted into your code base. Do this once at start, and every screen after it gets faster, not slower. If you're building your app right now, this is one of the highest leverage things that you can set up early for your app. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this, more coming soon.